Hi. Hi. It's recovery mom. And I'm hanging out. It's Saturday. I've had a couple days off work. And I thought I'd jump on here and go live for just a little bit, maybe an hour or so. Hi. I've been really sick this weekend. Blech. It's not COVID. I've taken some tests, so I went to Starbucks, got a medicine ball. My first experience with a medicine ball. They're delicious. They're amazing. So I'm gonna drink this, chat with you guys for a little bit until my throat gives out, and then I'll say goodbye and nap or something. I don't know. I have my warm blanket. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Oh, you're sick too. Oh, we'll be sick together. It sucks. I mean, at least it's not COVID though. I don't know if it's COVID for you, but I've had COVID once and it was awful. Like, it was awful. So let's get into it. I fear constipation because it put me in the hospital. So how do I overcome that and eat solids? So, I mean, what's the alternative to that? I would say the alternative to that is to live in a state of fear and diarrhea forever, right? It really sucks once we do something to our body and we get like a response from it that creates a fear response. And that fear response is something that encourages our eating disorder or keeps us sick. So I hear you that you're saying, hey, I'm so afraid of constipation that it put me in the hospital. So now I'm moving the other way and I just only want diarrhea because that feels safe. And I would also say that like too much diarrhea can also put you in the hospital, right? For different reasons. And so it's really important to tackle what's going on here, because I have a sneaking suspicion if you're very afraid of constipation, right? And you're trying to live in a state of diarrhea, how are you accomplishing this? Are you using laxatives, right? Are you using senna tea every day, right? And so that in and of itself is a very scary thing that could land you in the hospital for a whole different reason. I know constipation is painful and it's scary, and there are some safe alternatives out there, right? Some just like basic stool softeners. I could never use those things personally because they just led me right down that like pipeline to laxative addiction. And so, oh, I'm so glad you're negative. So I know you're afraid you're probably afraid at this point to feel the poop, right? You're probably afraid at this point to feel anything as it comes out. But you have to slowly start allowing yourself to feel that again, because you don't want to live in this fear forever, right? And we know, and I know you know from having an eating disorder, that the only way to work through a fear is to face it, do the scary thing, right? And then realize nothing bad happens from it, and then to do the scary thing again. And so you're probably going to have to feel the poop, feel that, and then do it again and again until it starts feeling more normal, okay? But I know that it's scary when we have constipation that winds us up in the hospital, or even the other way when we have like diarrhea that sends us to the hospital, and it gives us some sort of like a trauma-based fear response to that thing, and then we seek out the opposite, which is also not a healthy way to be. And so you're gonna have to slowly do the scary thing, which is to feel the poop. I love the angle of this, but I don't feel like holding it, so that's just the way it's going to be. I was thinking about you last night. I wanted to hear your opinion on the scale in Taylor's music video. So I haven't seen the video. I've just heard about it. Read a lot about it, right? I mean, everybody's talking about it. And it makes me sad, right? I probably won't watch it. I think anytime we put that word out there in a negative way, it just makes me so sad. And so I probably won't watch the video, and it just makes me very sad. And I mean, it's like, who was I thinking of in this way? I was thinking of Britney Spears in this way when Britney Spears made her kind of fat phobic content on Instagram a while ago, and everybody was freaking out. I feel like at some point, some people might not know better, right? I mean, especially when I think of Britney Spears, I just think of her as this little sweet little girl that just doesn't know any better, right? And so do we forgive a little bit because people don't know better, and then we teach them, inform them, and hope that they'll do better? And so I would have hoped by now Taylor would have known better, but maybe not, right? And so now we just teach and inform and educate and hope that they do better, because all people can do really is apologize, learn, and do better. So do I think that we should like cancel her or Britney or anybody for that matter? No, we should just educate and teach them different, and then hope that they do better. And if they don't do better, then maybe that's just not for you, right? You get to make a choice on who you fill your feed and who you watch for content. And that's kind of what it comes down to. Is everybody all of a sudden going to be perfect in this fat phobic world? Is everybody just going to have like the fat phobia lens lifted off their face at once? No. I'm sure I make mistakes all the time. I'm sure we all make mistakes all the time. Do I think that she's an awful person that realized what she did when she did it? No. Do I think that she needs to be educated a little bit into what happened and why that was such a bad thing? Yes. Do I think I'm going to cancel her? No. Did I really listen to her music anyway? I mean, the girls play it in the car, I suppose, but... So, I mean, that's what I think of that. I didn't watch it. I heard about it, though, so I get the gist of what people weren't liking about it, and I agree, I don't like it as well. Now I'm trying to eat some solids or thicker substances. Yay! Though I feel like I'm gaining so fast. So maybe you are gaining fast, right? Maybe that's how your body's going to gain. The thing is we don't get to choose, right? We don't get to choose how our body gains. My body gained way faster than I wanted it to. And I can remember wanting to go back and do recovery all over again. I just wanted to start all over again because I thought I gained too fast. I didn't relish it enough. And I just wanted to lose it all. But it is what it is. Our body's going to gain how our body gains. And so your body's going to gain to its set point in whatever way it chooses. And for some people, that's slow. For some people, they get hypermetabolism and it's painfully slow. For some people, it's fast, right? Everybody gains in a different way. And you unfortunately don't get to choose that. You can try to manipulate it, but if you try to manipulate it, that's an eating disorder behavior, right? And the hope is that you're not doing eating disorder behaviors anymore. And so the hope is that you just let your body gain in the way that your body wants to gain to its set point, right? Because if you don't, what is the alternative? Are you going to restrict or cut out food or food groups or not eat breakfast in order to gain at a slower rate to the end of recovery? Well, that's still giving into eating disorder behaviors, right? That's restriction, and we're not doing that anymore. And so what it comes down to is that we just don't get to choose how our body gains. But what you do have to do is you do have to eat the thicker substances, and you do have to eat the real food, right? And know that you're probably not gaining fast, and know that your brain is going to play tricks on you because that's part of an eating disorder. And that if you're not sure how you're gaining, find a loved one that you can ask. Oh, the lighting in here is hysterical, but also I can't open the windows because then the dogs will bark like mad. So this is a catch-22 up in here. 7 months laxative free. That's amazing. I love that. I love that. I love that. And so you very much have to be very careful right now, right? And I'm glad you're just using Miralax. For me, that would have been a slippery slope. I'm glad that you're able to do that. And I'm glad that you're starting to incorporate thicker foods, you know? And that is a wonderful length of time to be laxative free. I feel really confident in that for you. That's amazing. This is delicious. I never had one of these. My doctor was on maternity leave. Her replacement prescribed laxatives. I had to explain. Isn't that lovely when we have to explain those things? It's so lovely when we have to explain those things to people. I just love that. I love that when I get a new doctor and they want to do something triggering and I have to be like, you know, not so much for me. That's triggering. That's not okay. Like, it's funny how we have to be. I feel like when we have an eating disorder, we spend more time educating ourselves on eating disorders than the medical community ever does in medical school. Therefore, we go to these medical appointments and we kind of expect these medical professionals to be as versed in eating disorders as we are, when in fact they are not. Right, okay, we're on the same page. Yes, I think we are. I'm right and had a review with the ED consultant and got told off for drinking too much tea. Yeah, regular tea or senna tea. I remember my dietitian once telling me we tried to do the exchange system and exchanges just became the new calories for me, which was loads of fun. And so then I was trying to barter all my exchanges down into the vegetables, right? You know how it goes. And I remember my dietitian finally telling me that vegetables do not count for me. Like, they're just free food. I'm not allowed to write them on a meal plan, not allowed to count them as an exchange. They're just like non-existent for me. And I was so pissed off that I could not count vegetables because, you know, I was calorie, I was totally water loading through my vegetables. And so I was very angry at that. But I mean, honestly so, she was correct. That was the right choice at that time for my recovery. But that didn't make me any less pissed. Middle of bulimia, transitioning to Anna. That's fascinating. Oftentimes people are in Anna transitioning toward bulimia. And I'm curious how you know you're transitioning into Anna. Like, is that your goal? Often people with bulimia are very upset that they have bulimia, right? I had a diagnosis of bulimia as well as anorexia and atypical anorexia. And I think I filtered through all of the eating disorders at one time or another. But I do know that, I mean, bulimia is thought of as like the, you know, dirty cousin to anorexia, right? The yucky eating disorder to have, the eating disorder without willpower, right? The lesser eating disorder, and anorexia is thought of the one that everybody wants because it means you have the willpower and the strength and blah, 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 blah. And so people who have bulimia are usually very upset and they want to have anorexia instead, when really it's all just a spectrum. And I mean, I truly believe that we just go back. Anyone with anorexia long enough is going to end up purging and having bulimia, whether we purge through, you know, laxatives or throwing up or exercise or whatever it may be. I did. I mean, absolutely. I cannot cope with the way I look and I don't know what to do. Here's the thing. There was a time in my recovery when I quite literally had to cover all my mirrors. Is that a long-term solution? No, it's not a long-term solution. It's not a way to solve this problem, but it did help me in the short term. When I was first transitioning into my bigger body, I could not stand it. I covered all my mirrors. I covered, you know, anything that could see me from the neck down, I covered, and even then I wasn't too happy. Eventually, you have to tackle that and uncover those mirrors. So if you're in a state where you feel like honestly looking at yourself is going to cause you to relapse, try covering your mirrors up for a while. It's not a long-term fix. It's not a wonderful, solution, but it worked for me short term. And what we don't want is we don't want you to get to a point where you're going to relapse, right? Where you're going to jump back into your eating disorder. We want you to stay on the recovery path. That said, when you look in the mirror and you see something that you don't like, you need to stop and have a conversation about what is going on, right? And what is truly happening in your life. So let's say I walk by a mirror and I always had a problem with my arms. My arms, oh my gosh, were my biggest nemesis. Like, I hated my arms. I was told as like a 21-year-old that I had really, really big arms. That actually, a guy at a party told me I had the biggest arms he'd ever seen. Stuck with me forever. I hated my arms. And so when I got really, really sick and I got smaller arms, as I recovered, I was terrified of my arms growing back. So let's say I walk by the mirror and I saw my bigger arms. My first thought would probably have been, oh my gosh, look at those arms, you blah, 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 a bunch of bad names. You need to restrict, you need to purge, you need to not eat anymore. You need to get those arms back under control. What is happening? You're losing, just like all the stuff that happens when your eating disorder thoughts take over and they rail into you for having those big arms, losing that thigh gap, having big legs, having your chin, whatever it is that you see that signifies you're failing at your eating disorder. Because that's what's happening. When you see those big body parts, anorexia is saying you're failing at anorexia, you're failing at migrating. That's what's going on in your brain. And you are failing at anorexia and you are failing at migrating through the famine. But, the good news is there is no real famine right now. You're in a self-imposed famine. On the flip side of that, right, you need to remind yourself of what those body parts bring you as you recover and what those body parts mean when they're small. So if I were to see my big arm in a mirror, I would have to remind myself, yes, I could lose the weight again. We're good at losing the weight, right? We have an eating disorder. I could definitely do that. I could get that skinny arm back. But what would that skinny arm mean? For me, that skinny arm means I would be freezing all the time. I would lose my hair. My nails wouldn't grow. I'd grow fur on my face. My family would be scared for my life, quite literally. I wouldn't be able to eat the foods that I want. Pizza, donuts, right? Sweet milky coffees are out the door. I can't eat in the lunchroom anymore. I can't go to dinners with my husband or my kids. I can't go to, to Starbucks and get fun things with my girls. I just cannot do those things anymore. But yes, I'd have a skinny arm. But that's what my skinny arm comes with, right? I'm miserable. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, thinking that I ate food, panic that did I eat the food? I'm making sandwiches in my dreams. That's what my skinny arm comes with. Now let's talk about what my big arms come with. If I have big arms, I get freedom around food. I'm not thinking of food 24/7. I have times in my day where I don't think about food at all. Believe it or not, that will happen. It comes with your bigger body. My hair grows, my nail grows. I'm not freezing all the time, right? My husband says he can have a conversation with me again. We couldn't have a conversation before because all I could think about was food. I can eat meals with my kids. I can eat in the break room. I have brain space again for things like reading and writing and watching movies without always just thinking about food and calculations, right? So my bigger body part comes with all of that. So you need to remember that every time you look in the mirror and you're like, I can't take this body, right? The way I look is driving me crazy. Remind yourself, yes, you could go back to the way you looked before, but honestly, you didn't like that either, did you? I know you didn't. We didn't like ourselves then. Anorexia just tries to trick us into thinking that we did like ourselves then, but we did not. So that aside, that little body, remind yourself what it comes with, because it comes with a heap of shit. It doesn't come with anything good. You know that. And then remind yourself of what the bigger body brings to the table for you, why you're recovering, what it's going to give you, because that wins every time. Let's see. People were defending it, saying she's expressing how she feels, but I'm trying to say fat's not a feeling. Yeah, I totally agree about not canceling anything. I mean, absolutely. She's allowed to have her thoughts, and a lot of people do. I mean, when I was sick and full of diet culture, I would have thought the same way that she did. I would have put that word on my scale. And it would have been a valid thing for me to do. That's how I felt at the time. Maybe that's how she feels at the time. Maybe for her, that's what that word means, right? That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it feel good. It still feels yucky and wrong, and it's not okay. Because like for me, what it came down to is if I think that it's a bad thing, if I think fat is bad, what is that telling anybody that is fat, or my loved one, or my mother, or my aunt, or anybody in my life who might feel that that term applies to them? It's just, I just don't feel that way. And so maybe Taylor feels that way. And if that's the case, she just has some work to do and some education to have happen. And hopefully she'll come around and realize that that's not a bad term to throw down there on. It's just she's connotating the wrong words in the wrong ways. And I get what she's trying to get across. It's a really slippery slope thing for us with eating disorders, because when we have an eating disorder, we absolutely equate weight with badness and negativeness, right? And it's because if we gain weight, we're migrating incorrectly. Our survival instinct is kicking in and telling us we're wrong, we're bad for gaining, right? And that's a different thing. We have an eating disorder expressed in our brain, and our brain chemistry, our neurotransmitters and hormones are quite literally telling us that. They're feeding us that information, that it is wrong to grow into a bigger size. That's a hormonal neurotransmitter thing that's happening in our brain. That's different. And so it's really different when you talk about it through the lens of an eating disorder person. And so it gets really tricky because a lot of people don't understand that. And they just think that anybody with an eating disorder just shouldn't think fat is a bad thing. And people with eating disorders don't think fat is a bad thing. But when an eating disorder is expressed in your brain, a growing body signals to you that you are migrating incorrectly and you are failing at anorexia and you are bad and you are wrong. Those signals are happening in your brain. So it's a tricky thing to talk about it. It's kind of a weird thing to talk about. That said, should she put that out there for the whole world to see in a video? No, not at all. And it was I'm surprised somebody didn't stop her, actually. I was tempted to try overnight oats made with yogurt today. I'm petrified though. Oh, give it a try. You have to try at some point, right? You have to try at some point. You can't keep going and not try the things to get to the other side, because the longer you wait, we both know the harder it becomes, right? Let's see. Tori, feel the fear and do it anyway. Some comments were filtered to protect the community's experience. I don't know what that means. I wonder if that means this is delicious, by the way. It's called a medicine ball. Distractions after eating, setting timers for meals and snacks, and journaling can all help. I totally agree. I did all of that thing. I wasn't a big journaler. Whenever I tried to write, I would write, like, if you go on my blog and you see my writing, that's what I write. Whenever I would try to journal, that's what came out. It was really weird. I'm not a journaler. But I did set timers for my meals, and I did do a lot of distraction after. Absolutely. I always think that I'll never start gaining weight, and I will just keep gaining and gaining. Hi. Oh, you did change your username. I like it. Oh, I like your new username. And I'm so glad you're here. And there's a reason that you think you'll never stop gaining weight and that you're always going to gain and gain. And I have the specific neurotransmitter responsible for this linked on my hormone sheet on my website. But it's because, I mean, there's a few different reasons that we feel this way, right? But you're living in a starving, malnourished state. You are living in a starving, malnourished body. And let's say for a minute you don't even have an eating disorder, okay? Let's say for a minute, oh, I'm getting kind of hot. Let's say for a minute that you don't have an eating disorder, that you're just a normal eater, okay? And that a famine happens, right? And there's no food around and you don't eat. And you're starving and malnourished, okay? Like you are right now. Let's say that. When that person gets around food, what do you think is going to happen? Are they just going to eat an apple and then stop? Are they just going to eat 3 meals and 3 snacks a day? No. They're going to want to eat and eat and eat. They have an eating deficit. They're behind in their eating. They're starving and malnourished, right? And so that's a normal reaction when you have a starving, malnourished body. And so it's perfectly normal that you feel like you're going to keep eating and eating and gaining and gaining and gaining. But you're not. You're going to gain and gain and gain until you hit your set point. And then as you hit your set point, a funny thing happens. Your brain chemistry and your neurotransmitters will start to normalize again, okay? And as that I don't know why I did that. And as that happens, the genetic component of anorexia will fall off and your brain will start behaving like a normal eater again. It will just send messages when it needs food and it will stop sending messages when you're full. It will become normal again. But that can only happen at your set point. And that can only happen after you fill this deficit of feeding. So that's why when you start eating, you feel like you're going to eat forever, because that's a normal response. And that's why you feel like you're going to gain forever. That's a normal response. That's what a body wants to do. A starving body wants to gain, 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 and eat, eat, eat. That's a normal response to famine. And your body has been through a famine, right? And the fact that you feel this way is a wonderful thing, because it means your hormones and neurotransmitters are trying to come back for you. They're trying to work normally. They're like, hey, this is what we want to do. We feel like we should gain and gain. We feel like we should eat and eat. And the right thing is to gain and gain and eat, right? It just feels bad and wrong because anorexia is still expressed in your brain. And anorexia is telling you it's bad and wrong. But you have to override that signal and you have to eat and gain despite that, right? Oh, try and see it as life gain, not weight gain. I love that. And that's so true. You do gain a life. You do gain a life, but I do know that you're very afraid that you're going to gain a life, but I know that's hard for you to believe, because when you have an eating disorder, you tend to think that that's all you're good at and that's all you're ever going to know. And as you shed your eating disorder, you start to think, what am I even going to do with my time? What am I going to do with my life? I have nothing. This is quite literally all I have. It's all I'm good at. It's all I know. And you start to kind of panic and worry about that. But I promise you, things will fill that gap. Things will come along. You will find things that you enjoy doing again. There's just no brain space for that right now because it's all taken up with calculations and food. Oh, I wish you were a therapist or a life coach. You make so much sense. I'm not a therapist or a life coach. I do peer coaching. I have a link on but I also have a regular job. So I have a link on my link tree for peer coaching. Some people just want to come on and they just want to ask questions, right? What is anorexia? Why does this happen to me? Some people want to come visit with me and they just want to vent and they just want to talk about their eating disorder and how bad it is right now, or why are they feeling this way? Why are they feeling that way? Some people come talk to me and they just have a specific thing they want to work on, like how can I quit counting calories or whatever it is. So I do see people. I am not a coach. I mean, I am not like a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm just a peer coach, somebody to talk to, somebody that's been there. So if you did want to do that, I do have a link on my link tree. I don't have a lot of time unless it's like I actually opened up weekends just because I know I don't have a lot of weekday times. I'm actually thinking about going back to treatment again for the 3rd time, but I'm terrified. Aww. I feel like, I'm sure you're terrified, but can it hurt, right? I mean, that said, treatment does hurt some people. I hate the treatment conversations. I have so many biases about treatment. That said, you are strong. I know you. I know you. And I know you're strong. And I know you can go to treatment and you can get what you need and gain the weight and take what is necessary, right? I know you have the ability to do that. And so I think it can be a wonderful jumping off point for you to go there, to gain the weight, to get started, right? And then to come on out and deal with your triggering family and that kind of stuff. But I'm almost wondering if a treatment type environment would be a better place to vent all that stuff about your family and to get ready to deal with the triggering nature of them when you come back out. It's getting difficult, but I don't want to go back, but maybe I should. If you are getting deeper into your eating disorder, sometimes you have to have a kick in the ass moment, right? And whether that's going to treatment or, whether that is PHP, whatever it is, sometimes we need a major change to give us that kickstart that we need, right? Because what we don't want is to be sitting here a year from now wondering what would be different had we tried treatment, right? So I would offer to you that it can't hurt. I know you, and I know you're a strong enough individual that I think you could get a lot out of it. So the oats are the thickest thing I've had yet, though. But they're also full of fiber and they will help you go. I think you are so safe to have some oatmeal. And you have to start somewhere, right? What else would you start with? I think that's a wonderful thing to start with. And you have to jump in there and eat some solid food. You have to do it. I miss seeing my hip and rib bones. I hear you. I did too. I remember that too. But I also want you to remember that when you could see your hip and your rib bones, because I had those markers too. I had certain bones that I always looked for, touched. I had I used to rest my elbow and my all this stuff to make me feel comforted that I was doing right by my eating disorder. I had the certain bones that I had to fill my, just all the stuff that we all do. Yep, I had that. And here's the thing. You can have that. You can have that hip and rib bones. But what does it give you? An eating disorder? Honestly, tell me the positive things that you get when your hip and rib bones are there and you're seeing them. You get to see your hip and rib bones. There's one positive check. What other positive thing does it give you? Oh, you might get a little bit of a positive thing from our culture that praises thin privilege. You might get some thin privilege unless you're a little bit too thin, and then you don't. And then you just look sick. Okay, so there's 1.5 positive things. Let's talk about the positive things that you get now when you don't see your hip and rib bones. If you don't have hip and rib bones, you get pizza, right? You get to go out to meals with your loved ones and order from the menu and have the foods that they enjoy. You get to go out with people around food and actually have a conversation without calculating, right? Your hair's going to grow, your nails are going to grow. You're not going to have fur on your face. Your loved ones are no longer going to be afraid you're going to die. That was a big one for me. That's a big positive. I mean, we're already up to 4 or 5 positives. You're not going to be freezing all the time. So many positive things come from having bigger hip and rib bones. Only 1.5 positive things came from having little hip and rib bones. So make that mental list. Remind yourself, because we tend to look back at our eating disorder and we tend to look back at those little hip and rib bones and remember them fondly. We tend to remember them through rose-colored glasses. We tend to remember them as these wonderful things that we miss and we need, and they made us feel so good. But did they make you feel good? They did not. We were miserable. If we weren't miserable, we wouldn't have sought out recovery. You were miserable. I know you were, because I was miserable when I was there too. So that said, Every time you have this feeling, you've got to play that out in your brain, and you might have to play it out in your brain 100 times a day. And that's okay. Eventually, you'll see your bigger hip and rib bones, and your brain will start to say, ooh, I wish they were. And immediately your brain will jump to, ooh, but I don't want those little ones because nothing good happens there. Your brain will start associating the bigger body with the better body. But first, you're going to have to teach it that. So you're going to have to go through that conversation every time. And eventually your brain will take over and do the work for you. Trust me, it's never worth it as much as we think. So true. She's very confident now. She told me she feels very good in her skin now. Aw. The thing is, it can definitely hurt a lot. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't think I can get over this bad relapse on my own anymore. So, decision made, right? It's because I'm older now. My body is not handling it as well anymore, and I'm definitely seeing the signs. So, I hear you, right? You don't want to be me. I know you. I know how old you are. Do you want to be 46 and on your last recovery attempt? Because my last recovery attempt came at 46. And that sucked. That was brutal. And so you don't want to end up there. How much of my life did I miss? How many pizzas did I miss with friends? How many times going out and drinking some drinks and having some yummy food in a pub did I miss because I couldn't go out and be around it? How many birthday cakes did I not have, right? How many spaghetti bowls did I throw up in a bathroom somewhere? Like, honestly, the things that I missed. And I don't want you to miss that too. Oh, your little one's been sick. Oh, I've been sick too. What if I did chickpeas in a soup for the first time and try a strawberry chunky fruit bar? Oh, that sounds delicious. What I would encourage you to start with is what you feel like eating. I would encourage you to start with what you want to eat, okay? And just go with that. Have what you want to eat, have the consequences of that, and then eat something else. Like you're going to be in fear no matter what you start with. So the longer you think about it and worry about it, the worse it's going to be, right? Just jump in there and choose something and do it. I've been suffering since I was 14. I'm 20 now. Yeah, it is brutal. Oh, my little puppy came over. Oh, I know. She's so cute. But she's only snuggly early in the morning and late at night. Other than that, she's all about looking out the window. A girl in my class had an ED and she's fully recovered and she gave me so much hope. Oh, I love that. I love that. A lot of people are like, do people really recover? Nobody recovers. They recover. They're just out living their life though, you know? They're not usually hanging out here with us because they're doing things. And if this isn't their passion, then they're out doing whatever their passion is, right? So I think that's the difference. I can't stay, but I just want to say I love you and you've helped me so much. I'm always here for you and I'm glad you stopped by. You're absolutely right. I'm tired of the purging and restricting and hating everything about myself. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's tiring. It's like living 10 lives at once, honestly. It's just, it's a lot. What's funny is that you recover, and recovery is hard work too. So you're doing this eating disorder that feels like 10 lives, and then you're recovering that feels like 20 lives. But what happens is when you're on the other side, all of a sudden you only have to live one life. And that life lets you eat what you want, right? And rest when you want. And everything just becomes simple and easy. Because compared to restricting and lying and hiding to people and trying to find places to purge and all the stuff that we do, right? And sneaking the laxatives, just normal living becomes very easy once you're recovered after going through all of that. What if I don't want to recover? I mean, here's the thing. You don't have, nobody's making you recover, right? Nobody's making you recover. You don't have to recover. But I'm guessing because you're here, there's something you don't like about your eating disorder. And so if you don't like something about it, let's get rid of it. And I would also say, when I started recovery, right? When I started recovery, I did not want to recover. I didn't want to do it. I was pissed. But I had 2 kids. They were teenagers, and I had a husband. And my teenagers, it was pretty evident I had an eating disorder. They were calling me out on my shit. Everybody, I told everybody I was dieting, and I just, found the success to living healthy. I was eating my air fried carrots in a romaine leaf and calling it a hot dog, and I was being pissed at everybody for not eating healthy with me, right? And they were starting to call me out on my shit. And once I admitted I had an eating disorder, I didn't have a choice. I had kids. I had to recover. This is genetic. This is genetic. If you have children, you have nephews, nieces, grandkids, whatever is to come for you, people in your family will have this too. You are not the only one in your family that's going to get this. So I recovered because I was scared my kids were going to get this and they wouldn't know how to recover. Because if my kids got this and I had never recovered, what would make them recover? Why would they even fucking think they could recover? So I simply started recovery because I felt like I did not have a fucking choice. And I was pissed and I was angry and I didn't want to do it. Then once I started recovering, okay, and I saw some glimpses, I think my first glimpse was like, I think I went a few minutes without thinking about food one time. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, I can actually go a minute without thinking about food? And you start having these glimpses of a life without your eating disorder, then you realize what you're recovering for. But sometimes you don't have to recover for you. You might recover kicking and screaming. I recovered kicking and screaming halfway through. I didn't want to recover. I'd go into my therapist's office and say, I hate this. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to starve myself tomorrow. I can't do it. And then I'd wake up the next day and I'd eat the next meal because I had to for my kids, and I was pissed the whole way. Until I started getting some hints and glimpses of how good it could be without an eating disorder. So give recovery a try and see if you get some of those glimpses. And remember, you're not the only one in your family that's going to get this, okay? It's just having to deal with the triggers and the stress that makes it so much harder. I know it is. And that's why maybe, inpatient might be a really good choice for you right now, because hopefully those can be kind of minimized a little bit and make that a little bit easier for you to handle, because the stress and triggers in your household are just like beyond, honestly. That's ultimately up to you, because only you can choose, but I wouldn't wish a life of ED on anyone. Me neither. Hey, I'm all in and I'm at a technically healthy weight. I love that. I want to put air quotes around it. And I have extreme hunger and I feel so bad for the past 2 weeks. And I had a half a pack of biscuits or more every single day, and so much more if I feel so bad. So I feel like you asked a question on my TikTok, and I'm not sure if I answered it yet. My TikToks get so full of questions, and I try to answer kind of recent ones. So if you do ask a question and it doesn't get answered, just try to maybe answer it again on a really current one. But here's the thing about this. A half a pack of biscuits is not much. It's not much. A half a pack of biscuits is very small. It's a small amount. You could eat a full pack of biscuits, still feel perfectly fine. I could eat a full pack of biscuits. There's not that much to a pack of biscuits. That said, you are all in and at a technically healthy weight. What the fuck does that mean? Like, when I read this on my TikTok question, which I'm wondering if I'm thinking it might be you, because they talked about a half pack of biscuits, and I giggled in my head. And I'm not giggling at you, I'm giggling at old me, because old me had the same question. And so technically healthy weight makes me think that maybe you just like hit BMI 18 or something. And I hit BMI 18 and I was like, okay, recovered. Extreme hunger, go away, right? Mental hunger, leave me alone now. I'm there. And I don't ever like put my BMIs and my weights and stuff on here. If people DM me or ask me for specific numbers in my messages, I give them. You're adults. You want numbers? I will give you numbers, because I used to ask my therapist their height and their weight and how much they eat and like the calorie, all that. I used to ask my dietitians all those questions, and they used to tell me them, and it helped me. It helped my brain for some reason. Some people it helps, some people it's triggering. I leave that up to you, but I'm not just gonna purge it out here. But anyway, the healthy weight for me, the high end. I'm in the overweight category of the BMI. I mean, I hate even talking about BMI, but I know that's what you are looking at when you say technically healthy weight. So for me, my extreme hunger lasted 6 months or more. My extreme hunger, big portion of it was in the healthy weight range for me. Was in the healthy to overweight with air quotes weight range for me. And so it could be that what you're calling a technically healthy weight is still not quite your set point. Your set point might be bigger than where you're at now. And that's okay, right? That's okay. That's the body you need to be in to be recovered. So I will say that. And I'm guessing that might be the case, right? That you just need a little bigger body, or overshoot. You might need overshoot. Many people do. And if it is overshoot, it will come back off eventually. Okay. That said, I also want you to be on the lookout for micro restrictions. Okay. And micro restrictions, my hot tea is making me thirsty for cold water. Micro restrictions are like, did you want a full pack of biscuits but only ate a half? Micro restriction. Did you want a crispy chicken sandwich but had a grilled chicken sandwich? Did you want fries but you had a salad? Did you want fried fries but had baked fries? All of those things are micro restrictions that will keep your anorexic brain in a famine mentality, okay? And while it's there, that extreme hunger and mental hunger will keep going and going. So make sure that you're not having these micro restrictions, that if you're truly giving into your extreme and mental hunger, you're truly giving into it, okay? And also, every time I thought I was at my healthy weight, I had another 5-10 pounds to go. It happened so many times I thought I was at my healthy weight, and that extreme hunger was still there. That mental hunger was still there. I could eat a half gallon of ice cream and want a pizza and then want a, whole family size thing of Oreos after. That is so normal. And honestly, a box of biscuits, a pack of biscuits is not that big. It's really not. And highly processed food, highly calorie dense, highly processed foods is exactly what you should be eating right now, because it is what your body can use best to recover and repair itself. So it's wonderful that you're eating that. It's wonderful that you're eating that every day. And I would say, please don't feel bad. I ate that much. I ate much more than a half a pack of biscuits for months, all through my extreme and mental hunger, okay? And it's perfectly safe to do, and it's needed and it's necessary. And half a pack of biscuits really isn't that much. It's just, I just think of it as like sugary air. Okay, I don't mean to giggle, but would mashed soft carrots and artichoke hearts digest well? My friends, I love you to death. You just need to choose. None of those foods are better than any other one of those foods, okay? So mashed carrots and artichoke hearts compared to oatmeal, compared to chickpeas, all the same. They're high fibrous foods. If I wanted something to move through quickly, personally, I would probably choose like, I don't know, chips and chocolate or something. I'd pick something very highly processed because processed food moves through quick and moves through fast and it doesn't get all stopped up. Highly fibrous foods like vegetables, legumes, right? They're gonna stop up a little more and cause bloating and things. So like honestly, if you were asking me, I would say have a burger and fries or something. I don't know. I would say have like a bag of chips and a bar of chocolate. Like that, those are the kind of things I would eat to process through easily. Those kind of things are going to be easier. But any one of those things is a good place to start, because I have a feeling you're not going to eat an extreme hunger amount, right? You're just trying to eat something to feel safe with the process of food moving through your body, come out the other side. That said, any one of those foods that you mentioned are wonderful, but the longer you wait, the worse it will be. So I think you just jump in there and choose one. All the women in my family have or have had an ED. Yeah, same. I mean, it's so common. I think I'm the only one that's vocal about my ED in my family, but I grew up with, you know, cousins obviously having bulimia and other cousins having eating disorders. And it was just something, everybody in my family had fat phobia. And everybody was trying to be skinnier than everybody else. And it was just the way a lot of us grew up, and it's a shame. And I hopefully you could recover like I recovered, and we can set another legacy down the line so that when our kids, our grandkids get eating disorders, they know they can recover and they can see the path to recovery, right? I get rib pains usually at the bottom of my ribs, and I was wondering if anyone else deals with this kind of thing. I think you also put a question on my TikTok, and I used to get all kind of pains right at the bottom of my rib cage and all around down there. And honestly, for me, it ended up being gas. 90% of my pain was gas when I was in recovery. I am telling you, my body wasn't used to processing stuff. Things weren't used to going through there. It would get stop up, it would get bloated, and it would be gassy. So if anyone else has any thoughts, they can throw them on here, but maybe you could try like some Gas X or something, honestly. I used to just lay in the fetal position until it passed, but I was on the verge of calling the ER a few times. It would get so bad, but it always passed. I think I'm going to go ahead and talk to my therapist about my options. Thanks for always helping me. Oh, I'm always here, and I'm so glad you're going to talk to your therapist. I ate so much ice cream and cake the last month, and that's totally okay, but I also feel very guilty. Yeah, so it is totally okay. And sometimes, like, I don't feel guilty anymore, but today, I've been really sick this weekend. So I've been eating mostly like soups and, well, I eat chocolate anyway, chocolate. And today Eva was craving like just ground beef burritos, right? Just like old school burritos. And which is funny because my husband is Mexican, so we make a lot of Mexican food, and he would never consider this Mexican food. But we made like the ground beef tacos with the seasoning, and I had 2 of them after not eating a lot. And after I ate the second one, I felt so foolish sick, and it reminded me of the feeling that I used to get when I would want to throw up. And it was very interesting having that kind of feeling come back. It wasn't a feeling of like, ooh, you want to go up, throw up. It was like a feeling of fullness, that feeling of like being overly full that I would get when my brain would go to, ooh, you got to get rid of that. But now my brain was like, oh, damn, that sucks to feel like that. And you're going to feel like that for a few hours. But yes, it's totally okay to eat that much. I think I just put a TikTok on with me eating ice cream. And honestly, that video on that TikTok was from me during extreme hunger. And if I think my husband in the background was saying that's what he said or that's what she said, which I thought was pretty humorous of my husband because he always hated it when we used to say that. A lot of people have the pains that you have. Also, it's my second time all in. Last year I had that too, but also extreme hunger, but then I kind of restricted. So now I have this all again, but at a higher weight. Yeah, doesn't that suck? Because now we're at a higher weight and we're experiencing all the same things, which honestly is our eating disorder's worst nightmare, right? To be going through all of this at a higher weight. So I totally feel you. And it sucks. And I would encourage you to make sure that you make it to the end of recovery this time. Don't stop when you're almost there, because your extreme hunger is going to last until it can trust you. And that might be longer than you're comfortable with. And that might be into a bigger body than you're comfortable with. And that's what happens a lot of times. A lot of us are like, I'm in this certain body size now. I should be done. I should be done because there's smaller people in the world. Therefore, I should be done recovering because I shouldn't have an eating disorder if I'm this size. So I should be done. But my extreme hunger's here. But now I shouldn't listen to my extreme hunger anymore because I should be done recovering because my body is this size. Your body is going to be your body. You still have to respond to that hunger, or you're restricting. And if you're restricting, you're doing an eating disorder behavior. Therefore, you're still giving into your eating disorder and not recovered. So remember, you're not recovered when you reach a certain size. You're recovered when you're not giving into eating disorder behaviors anymore, okay? So it doesn't matter what size your body is. It matters that you're no longer giving into eating disorder behaviors. And if your body wants food and is asking for that, and you're like, nope, we're too big to be eating that, that's restricting. That's an eating disorder behavior. That's not recovered. So that's what you have to look at, not your body size, but your behaviors and your actions, right? Oh my God, somebody sent guacamole, which is actually giving me life and making me hungry. Hello. Sarah Beth Yoga has an 8-minute video on YouTube for gas and bloating. It really helps me. I love that. The funny thing about that is, honestly, I quit the gym, fitness maniac, as most of us are. And then I started doing yoga because I thought it'd be calm, right? It'd be a wonderful activity. Not for me. I went bananas over yoga. I would only choose the most aggressive yogas, the ones that said for weight loss, the ones that said power yoga. Like, I could not do any simple fucking yogas. So, and I used to do yoga with Adrienne a lot, and I had to stop doing her because I would only research those types of yogas. And then I found Sarah Beth Yoga, which actually was more my speed because she does have a lot of very nice calming yogas. And in order to help my recovery, I would only allow myself to do yoga if there was a pillow or a blanket in the video. That was it. I could only do yogas if they had pillows and blankets involved. Otherwise, I was not allowed to do yoga. And yeah, to this day, that's the only kind of yoga I do. Because, yeah, once I recovered, I just don't like super physical stuff anymore. That was all my eating disorder, I guess. I feel like I can't recover anymore because I'm a normal weight. Interesting. So what is a normal weight? I'm curious to know what a normal weight means. Normal weight according to who? Because you're not a normal weight if you have an eating disorder. I would guess if you have an eating disorder, you're doing some sort of eating disorder behaviors. Therefore, you're restricting, or you're doing behaviors, right? Or you're throwing up, or you're doing laxatives, whatever it is that you're doing, that's part of an eating disorder. If you're doing that and you stop doing that, I'm guessing you'll gain some weight. Therefore, you're not at the normal weight for your body. So you're not at your normal weight. You're at some artificial society's normal weight. So like, I want you to think about that and do some work around that. What normal weight are you referring to? Because you're not talking about your body's normal weight, because your body's normal weight doesn't have an eating disorder. Your body's underweight has an eating disorder. So think about that. Hey mom, I just moved into a better living environment and I am doing so great with eating. Oh my gosh, yay! That makes me so happy. I mean, there are like there are just two sides to that, right? Like, it's just our environments can really, really fuck with us. And they can absolutely mess with us and make things really difficult and triggering. And also, we can get out of that environment. But sometimes we can't, and we have to stay in that environment. So it's such like a tricky thing. If you can get out of that environment, I'm so proud of you. That's wonderful. If you can't get out of an environment like that, then we have to work around it, right? We have to do some workarounds for that. And a lot of people are stuck in a place like that. So that's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's see. Oh, I'm honestly dying. That guacamole is adorable. I am so proud of you. That is wonderful. How do I start recovery when I'm diagnosed with anorexia but at a healthy weight? Oh, well, we kind of just talked about that, right? So, who diagnosed you as having a healthy weight? Is that you that's deciding you're at a healthy weight? Or anorexia is telling you you're at a healthy weight? Because, like, if you're at a healthy weight for you, I'm assuming that would be your set point. If you're at your set point, you wouldn't be dealing with fucking anorexia, right? So my guess is, if you have anorexia, you're doing some sort of restrictive behaviors. If that's the case, you're not at your healthy weight for you. Those things cannot coexist. So I want you to do a lot of work around who the fuck is telling you you're at a healthy weight. Is it the BMI? Is it an online weight calculator? Do any of those really know what a healthy weight is for you? Because I thought a healthy weight for me was going to be BMI 18. And boy, was I fucking wrong. That is not a healthy weight for me. That was an anorexic weight for me, quite literally. I was my most anorexic self at BMI 18. So let me tell you, oftentimes you cannot go off of anything other than, here's what a healthy weight is for you. A healthy weight for you is the weight at which you are not restricting and using behaviors, and the anorexia genetic component comes off and you're able to eat without guilt and shame. That is your set point and your healthy weight. Anything other than that for you is anorexia weight, okay? Is an anorexia weight. So I want you to think about that. I have one last question. So I had so many fear foods, and high calorie. I don't know where the rest of your thing went. And high calorie. Luke, that. Oh, and high calorie foods like that, and then feel like that, and will it pass? Thanks once again. I think what you're saying is that you eat high calorie foods and fear foods, and then you feel like shit. Will it pass? And yeah, it will pass. Of course, it will pass. But until you're at your set point, it's never going to feel amazing. It's never going to feel wonderful. You're never going to eat a high calorie food and then go, that was fun. Let me eat another fucking high calorie food. That takes a while. That takes a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of people are like, oh, recovery is so wonderful. You can just eat and eat. And there was a time for me when I did enjoy all those foods, but yes, there was still guilt and shame involved. Yes, absolutely, until I was recovered. But yes, it will pass, but you do have to gain the weight to get there. I'm having a really hard time. I had a piece of salmon and cried my face off. I'm really trying. First, let me say I'm so incredibly proud of you for having the salmon and for eating the food. Because when we're in the place of eating and crying, I am aware of how difficult it was for you to eat that. It is like eating through primal fear. And it is eating through primal fear. It's a survival, fight or flight instinct. You are literally, your brain is telling you if you eat that food, you will not survive. It is a matter of survival, life and death, not to eat that food, and you ate it. That is the right thing to do, and that's amazing. And it is okay to cry. It is okay to feel shitty. It is okay to feel awful. But what it's not okay to do is to restrict again, okay? So what's not okay is for you to use this breakdown as an excuse to not eat the next thing. For you to be like, oh, I did this one hard thing, but it really tore me up, so I'm not going to do the next hard thing. That's what's not okay. Because the only way we're going to get used to the hard things, and the only way these things are going to become easier, is if we repeat, challenge, repeat, challenge, repeat, okay? So you challenged that salmon and you did it, and now you have to have something else. You can't leave it there and start restricting. So I'm so, so proud of you, and I know how hard it is, and I know you're trying, okay? And you just have to hold steady and know that that feeling will pass. Nothing bad's going to happen. Your body is so thankful. Your body is literally starving. It is starving. It needs that food so bad. So it's safe to eat that food. It is safe to eat that food, and it's needed to eat that food. And I'm proud of you for eating that food. What do you think about residential treatment? I've been to many and I don't agree. My team is insisting. I don't see the second part, but I'm guessing they're insisting you go back. God damn, I hate this question. I've never been there. But I hate them. They're money-making machines. The last guy that made all those American treatment centers sold those treatment centers for billions of dollars, because what they do, right? And that's why it's so hard to get treatment in places like local hospitals and things, because those treatment centers will only accept certain insurances, good insurances, right? They're not going to take just the regular Medicaid patients. And so they are weeding out those people. Therefore, the people with the insurances that don't pay as much have nowhere to go, because those big treatment centers have put all the other treatment centers out of business by only hand picking who they want to pick. And then they take you in and they fill you with food and then they send you out again. I just read a book. Where is it? It's called Strangers to Ourselves by Rachel Aviv. And in the very end of it, they were talking a little bit about treatment centers and about the sheer in and out nature of them, and how what a pointless money-making machine they are. And that's true. That said, if you are at a place where you cannot feed yourself and you are stuck, they can be a wonderful environment to help force feed you for that beginning chunk of weight and food. Okay? A lot of people get stuck in this place where they can't gain that first chunk and that first amount so that they can start thinking a little clearer. They're just frozen. And so a treatment center can be a place where they can give you that food and they can make sure you eat and they can make sure you gain that weight. Are they going to cure you? No, but it can be a jumping off point, a place to start, to get a grip so that when you come out, you have something to jump off of, right? So that's what I think of treatment centers. I mean, I haven't really had one person yet say, hey, recovery mom, I had this great experience. This treatment center helped me recover. I have not had that experience yet. So, yeah. Yeah, it is a non-binary cat shirt. Cute, huh? Little non-binary cats. Adorable. Yoga stresses me out. Yeah, no, I get that. That's why I would only do yoga that had pillows and blankets. Also, I hope I answered your question correctly. And no, you're not annoying at all. This is a delicious, delicious thing. Oh, someone else said I hate yoga. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see, where was I? I understand that, but it's about eating, not weight. So you deserve recovery. True. I like it because you lie down. I hate yoga. Yeah, that's literally where I got to. I only wanted the yogas where I could lay down. Is it normal to have more gas in recovery? Yes, absolutely. I was a farting fucking machine. My family was so sick of me. They were just like, honestly, they were just through with me. They were over it. It was bad. It was really bad, but it does get better, I promise you. But it is really bad. Your body is learning how to process foods again that it hasn't been eating and hasn't been processing, and in quantities that it hasn't been used to and hasn't been doing. So of course, your body isn't used to that. And I tried like Gas-X and stuff. I don't know. I was really wary of anything like that because I was one of those anorexic people that used to just go up and down the aisles of all the natural food stores looking for natural diet pills galore. And so I was nervous of any one of those things sending me down like a cascade of pills again. But a lot of people have success with like Gas-X and stuff. But yes, it's horrific. And it's traumatic, quite literally, for anyone around you. But it is what it is. All I could do was laugh. I got a point in my recovery during refeeding where it was just comical. And there was nothing else I could do but laugh because I was going to do it. I was going to eat the food. I was going to deal with it. And so everyone else around me had to just deal with it. Yeah, nobody listens to me when I'm struggling with eating because I'm a bigger boy. I totally agree. I mean, I feel for you, and I hands down understand what you're saying. And there's no doubt in my mind that this is truly happening to you because this is truly what happens. And what's a shame, what's the biggest shame about this is that you're in a bigger body, but you have anorexia, right? Eating disorder, whichever one that may be. So now you're suffering with an eating disorder in a bigger body, which quite honestly is your eating disorder's worst fear, which makes your suffering way worse than it ever was at your low weight. My biggest suffering was when I had my eating disorder at a higher weight because all your brain is sending you signals that you're doing everything wrong. You're failing at life, but you're failing at your eating disorder. You're a horrible human being, but you're also horrible at anorexia. Everything is horrible. You're fucking bad at everything, right? I hear you. And the people around you, here's the people around you. They're like, damn, they gained some weight. They're all good. They gained some weight. They should be doing amazing. Everything's wonderful. And in your head, you're like, I'm the most fucked up I've ever been. I'm worse than I was at my low weight right now. And everybody around me is looking at me like I'm wonderful, like everything is great. I hear you. I know you're going through this. And I went through it too. And it was like my family started feeling comforted in my weight. And everybody was like, oh, good, she can eat again. Everything's wonderful. And you're just like, no. That's not what's happening. The noise is twice as loud. It's twice as hard to eat. Everything is compounded and multiplied right now. And you're all looking at me like I'm fine. So I hear you and I empathize with you completely, okay? But you just have to know they can't possibly understand. I mean, we can try to educate them. You can give them some information. AdaptedToFamine.com has some wonderful things I think you can print for families. You can show them some videos on what's happening to you when you have an eating disorder at a larger body or things like that. But honestly, my family just simply couldn't understand. They couldn't. Your family cannot possibly understand the treachery that's happening when you have an eating disorder at a bigger body. It's impossible because for us, it's life or death. The signals are coming from our amygdala, are literally our survival mechanism kicking in, telling us we need to starve, not eat, and move. And we're fighting against that. And we're fighting against that in this bigger body, which is telling anorexia that we're doing it wrong, right? So everything is clashing at once. And then our families are just sitting there thinking we're great. So I hear you. There's not a lot we can do to make our families understand. We can try to educate them, but quite honestly, a lot of them don't want to be educated. A lot of them are dealing with their own shit, right? And they just can't deal with their shit and our shit. Like my parents, they couldn't deal with my shit. They couldn't deal with anorexia or what was happening to me. They just quite simply didn't understand. And my kids, they were dealing with their own mental shit. Like it's a lot. And my husband, he's a very old school religious Mexican man. Like he doesn't understand the evolutionary adaptation of anorexia. He tries, but he doesn't. So for him, as soon as I gained some weight, he was like, we're all good, right? So I hear you that this is the most difficult part. But what it means is that you can't turn back. You're almost there. You cannot use this as an excuse to turn around. You cannot let anorexia use this as a reason to relapse or to go backwards. You cannot do that because you are almost there. You are close to the end, okay? So you cannot use this to turn around. I wish I could say, hey, here's what you can do to make this time better. I can't. This time is awful. Like, and I hate when I have to say that shit. I hate when I have to say it's going to be bad, it's awful. But like, honestly, this is a bad time and it is an awful time. But I empathize with you and I understand. And you can always come here. You can come to my Instagram. You can DM me, whatever. We can talk about it. You can say, oh my God, they're fucking idiots. They don't understand. And I can say, I know, I get that. They are idiots. They don't understand. But that's, if they don't understand, we can't make them understand. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to recover. You still have to recover. You do. You still have to recover. And you're so close. You can do this. BMI is trash and inaccurate. Yes, it absolutely is. It is. Thank you, Recovery Mom. Aw, thank you for being here. Sending love to you. Have a blessed day. And remember, you're always loved. Aw. Is it normal to have more gas and bloating? Yes, I think I just went through that. Will someone make a challenge to get it for your food and we'll eat it together? I don't want to eat alone. Oh, what do you want to eat? They keep saying refeeding syndrome and now starting me to eat. Yeah, so refeeding syndrome is a real thing, right? And you know what? I'm going to go get some chocolate. You want to eat? I'll get some chocolate to eat. I could always eat. So refeeding syndrome is a real thing, right? It's absolutely something that happens to people. Let me grab some chocolate. I have it cold. One of the scary things about like being lactose intolerant is that dairy-free stuff is never low calorie, which is pretty funny. So like, it can help in your recovery. So I'm just going to sit here and eat peanut butter cups with you. I don't know what your fear food's going to be, but this is what I got right now. It's not a fear food for me anymore. I can eat the whole bag. And can I just say, whoever made, whoever made, and there's nothing I can do when that dog barks, so we're just going to ignore it. Whoever made dairy-free things like peanut butter cups or whatever, they're never big enough. And they're 4 times as much money. I just don't understand. It's ridiculous. Anyway. So, refeeding syndrome is an absolute real thing. But it's very, very rare. And usually, as for people that tend to be really, 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 really low and restricting or on feeding tubes, things like that. I was very afraid of refeeding syndrome, but I also started feeding very slowly. I didn't go all in. I went super slowly. 1 small tablespoon of cottage cheese at a time. So you do need to start eating. You don't need to go all in. If you're afraid of refeeding syndrome, pick a fear food. Start right now. Tomorrow, eat a little bit more. Just don't jump in all in. These are good. They're very good when they're cold. Did your ED develop later, or did it start when you were a child or teen? So, I have another one. I'm probably gonna eat the whole bag, and then I'll be mad later. Not that I ate the whole bag, but because I'm out. So I've always had an eating disorder, but I did not know it because, again, I grew up in a family where it was just like everybody was always on diets trying to be thin. So I can remember as a kid hating my thighs, skipping meals, you know, being very careful what I had at my school lunches, being nervous, watching what other people ate, and never getting super underweight though, because I didn't quite understand how to make that happen. I just knew I hated my body and I was always trying to manipulate it. Then going through college, I would do like 10-day fasts where I didn't eat for 10 days and things like that, right? Really restricting. Not a whole lot of fitness stuff then, but playing some sports type stuff. Then I got married, had kids, and then that's when kind of the bulimia took over for a while. I can remember throwing up in between pregnancies even. I have vivid memories of throwing up, trying to lose all the weight. And then when I was pregnant with my now 20-year-old, I would throw up through the beginning of the pregnancy, and that child has a genetic condition called Noonan syndrome and a bunch of medical problems. And I used to always blame myself because I used to always think that my throwing up when I was pregnant caused all their medical conditions, but it's a genetic condition. Actually, it's carried on through the family. But in any case, I always blame my eating disorder. So yes, I've always had an eating disorder. It was just expressed differently. And then I didn't throw up for a really long time, and started restricting again. And then I got a book on calories. And there we go, down the rabbit hole into weight loss. And then I really started working out and losing a lot of weight. And that's when my kids were teenagers and started calling me out on it. And, you know, probably almost died. In any case, here we are eating chocolate, hanging out. So I did not know, even through the throwing up phases, I'd never considered myself as having an eating disorder. And when my kids were preteens, right, I started calorie counting, lost a shit ton of weight. And even then, near death, I thought I just found the secret to dieting. Even when they were telling me, Mom, you have a problem. Your bones are showing. You're dying. Like, you have a problem with food. I was like, fuck you. I figured out how to diet. You wish you could diet like me. I'm just being healthy. You should be healthy. Like, it took a lot. I was probably 45 before I admitted I had an eating disorder, right? And that's because of our culture that we live in. Not a question, but thank you for your help and for being there. Always. I was just always so sad that whenever I looked into the community for help myself, it was always either really skinny people doing 10,000 calorie challenges, or fuck, that's all there was. Like, or like Tabitha Farrar was there. I really liked her. I liked Meg's recovery, but she was always a little skinny, a little triggering for me when I was sick. But there was never anybody of a normal size, of an age, like an age like me, that wasn't walking around and triggering outfits, you know, with triggering bodies. So that is one of the reasons that I made my first TikTok. It's the atypical diagnosis that messes with your brain. I'm wondering if maybe that's going to change in the future. I wonder if they're going to change that in the future to just all be one diagnosis or something. How do I know if it's Overshoot? Ooh, I'm eating some oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad you're eating with me. I think that says crackle. I'm gonna have a third one. I could eat these forever. How do I know if it's Overshoot? You don't know. You don't know if it's Overshoot until it comes off. there is no way to tell. You have to work under the assumption that it's not overshoot. You have to live under the impression that this is your new set point. If it's overshoot and it falls off, okay. But you have to live and believe that it's not and be fine with that. Otherwise, right? Otherwise, you're still going to have that mentality of wanting weight loss. We don't do that shit anymore. So you have to think to yourself, I can remember wondering, is this overshoot? Is this my new body? Like all those questions. And then finally, I just had to say, fuck it. I don't even care. I don't even care. I do not want to be that grandma that is skinny and rigid and can't have cookies with her grandkids. Not that my children are ever having babies, because I don't think they are. Bummer for me. But I just don't want to be that old person. I want to be the old person that can like have cookies and sit around and laugh and go out to restaurants with people and, you know, joke around and be jovial. When I look at those really slender, older people, they always just seem very rigid and unhappy to me. That's just like me. And so in my brain, that is not where I want to end up. I'd rather be in the bigger body. So did I think I had overshoot? I was always hoping I had overshoot up until I said, fuck it. I don't even care. I don't even want overshoot. I just want to be happy. I just don't want to live miserable anymore. And I never did get overshoot. My body was my body. It never did. It just settled and it never went back down. And my body's staying its weight. When I had COVID and couldn't eat for a week, I got on the scale after my body weighed the same. When I went to California and ate a shit ton for a month, all of the yummy food you could imagine, came home, got on the scale, my body weighed the same. My body works itself out under all those circumstances now. And it is so nice and relieving to know that. I'm assuming by your daughter, you mean, I have two kids. I have Eva, who's my daughter, and Lou, who is my other human. And Eva's at work, and Eva's never on here. Eva doesn't like to be shown on video, so she'll giggle and laugh in the background, but she doesn't like her face on here. And Lou, who used to make all my TikToks with me, by the way, has just been, today, as a matter of fact, Lou is at some sort of like a Halloween event with some friends. So I think they went dressed as Wednesday Addams. Adorable. But they're just living their life. So yeah. I miss them doing TikToks with me too and lives with me. But when I started TikTok, which was like almost, I don't know what, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I don't even know how long. It's been a long time ago. Maybe it has been a year and a half, 2 years now. Lou is the one who made the first TikTok with me and was always there doing them with me because we were spending 24/7 together. Like if Lou was Ubering, I was Ubering with them. That's kind of what they were doing at the time for a living. Now they have a full-time job. They're a pharmacy tech assistant. And so they have a full-time job. They have another job on the side. They have these friends that they hang out with all the time. So like Lou is doing what adult children are supposed to do, which is, I guess, go off and have a life. Do I miss them terribly? Yeah, but also they're having a good time. They do stop in and out sometimes. They just brought me a bunch of chili that they made in the crock pot the other day. So you're a breath of fresh air. We need people like you in this community. Thank you. Also, I agree that when people recover, we would love to have them stay in the community a while, because a lot of times the people that stay in the community as recovery accounts aren't really recovered, right? They're a little bit triggering. They make you kind of question your own recovery. You're like, how are they recovering and eating all of that? How are they still having that little body? Like, you just have a lot of like, moments with a lot of the recovery accounts. And so it is so important. The most important thing for me to recover was being able to see other people like Tabitha Farrar or whatever that have done it, right? That was so important for me personally. And so to be able to show other people real life, like I remember one time my husband, looked at me and was like, or I told him I made a video in the car. And he turned around and looked in the car and was like, did you clean the back seat first? And I was like, fuck no. Like, this is real life. Like, my house is my house. My car is my car. I wear what I wear. I'm often a mess. Like, if I waited until I cleaned the car or what, I just wouldn't do it. And so I just want to be real. And I want to be real with what I say. And I want to be real with what recovery is about and how hard it is. And I want to be honest. And I'm not going to lie. And I'm not going to, you know, be 100 pounds in a bathing suit and do a 10,000 calorie challenge. And like, I just, for one thing, I probably couldn't eat 10,000 calories right now. Although I could in extreme hunger. Easy enough. I remember in extreme hunger thinking that a box of cereal looked like the tiniest thing in the world. What I gonna do when I think about sweets at night? What you gonna do is eat the sweets, right? How does it feel to help so many people on TikTok? I really don't feel like I help that many people, actually. I do have some people now and then that tell me that I've been very helpful, and that makes me super happy, because if I can balance out those triggering recovery. Oh, it's the mailman. We are gonna bark for a minute, because the mailman is Bella Texas lover, quite honestly. Oh, he's gone, Bell. I know. So if I can balance out those accounts, that's my goal. And I'm always willing to help anybody who wants to DM me or whatever. It might take a little while for me to respond, but I will always respond to you. Also, what am I going to do when I think about sweets at night? Oh, you're going to eat the sweets. I can remember, well, when I was sick, having sugar-free candy by my bed all the time. Like sugar-free Werther's Original or whatever. Now, then, during extreme hunger, mental hunger, I had to have like protein bars, candy bars, Snickers, whatever. That was before I knew I couldn't eat dairy. Thank God that my dairy-free phase, my dairy-free like allergy, EOE, wasn't discovered before my extreme hunger. I don't know if I could have done it. But that said, I had bowls of candy and stuff right by my bed. I even had a rule once that I couldn't get out of bed without eating something out of that bowl. But if you think about sweets at night, you eat sweets. It's that simple, because your brain's going to keep thinking about it. If you do happen to fall asleep pregnant, dream about it. And if you don't eat it, you're restricting. And restricting is an eating disorder behavior, and we don't do that shit anymore, right? So follow the thought out. Sometimes we have a thought like this, like, what do I do if I'm thinking of sweets? Follow that out. Am I not going to eat it and restrict? I mean, or are you going to get up and eat the sweets? Hopefully you get up and eat the sweets. Oh my gosh, these are so, they're not peanut butter cups, but they're pretty good. Hi. You are such a healing presence. Thank you for everything you do. I'm almost recovered, but I still hate my body. That is okay. Oh, TikTok's telling me I've been on 90 minutes. I should take a break. That's hysterical. TikTok's never told me that before. So, if you hate your body, can you remind yourself of what your body gives you? What does this body give you? Does it give you warmth when it used to be cold, when it was skinny? Does your hair grow now? Right? Does this bigger body allow your loved ones to live in peace because now they don't fear you're going to die at any moment? That was a big one for me. What are some things that your body does give you that's positive, right? So remind yourself, because you might hate that bigger body on the surface, right? Because you're just like, oh, bigger body, hate it. I hear that. Let's dig a little deeper. What does a smaller body mean? it means anorexia. It means shit, right? It means being cold. It means hair falling out. It means, for me, I couldn't take a bath because my goddamn butt bone hurt so bad on the ceramic, bathtub. So think about that. Don't just say, I hate my body and end it there. Dig a little deeper. Do you hate your body? Or are you just thinking of your body in like a singular, one-sided dimensional object? Let's think about it as the all-encompassing thing that it is, right? So your bigger body lets you go out to dinner with a loved one. Your little body didn't let you do that. Your bigger body means you're not calculating calories all day long. Your little body didn't give you that gift, right? Your bigger body comes with hair. Your bigger body means you don't have that weird beardy hair thing. Little body comes with that. So don't just say, I hate my body and stop there. That's just feeding that information to your brain. You have to follow that out. Let's follow it out, okay? Your body doesn't just stop there. Your body being big and little comes with other things. It doesn't just end with, oh, I hate my body. It comes with things. It comes with hair growth. It comes with nails that grow. It comes with warmth or cold. Your bigger body and your smaller body comes with things attached. It comes with a family that's not afraid you're gonna die, right? It comes with a lot of things. So you have to play that shit out. No more just saying, I hate my body. Every time you say that, I want you to stop and say, I hate my bigger body, but wait, what comes with my bigger body? Oh, here's what comes with my bigger body, and list all the stuff that comes with your bigger body. What comes with your little body? And be honest about the shit that comes with your little body, because it's no good. Society may see you a little better until you get a little too sick, and then they see you as sickly, right? Other than that, nothing good comes in that little body. And you know that, and I know that, because for us, a little body means anorexia. It doesn't just mean a little body. Some people get to live in a little body without anorexia. Good for them. We don't. I don't, and you don't. So we can't go down that little road, right? What does cancer and dark humor have in common? It's funnier when kids get it. I am a very satirical dark humor person. Melissa, hi. Let's see, where are we? You're getting trolls in here now. Oh, I love that. I have to say that for 2 weeks now, but sometimes I want the whole pack. Oh, eat the whole pack. Go ahead and eat the whole pack. I will say that I don't mind satire and dark humor, and I don't even give a shit about trolls, whatever, they can hang out. But I watched a TikTok the other day with someone who had about 800,000 followers. And she was like an older woman, like an elderly woman, very gray, thin hair. I won't say her name. She often does TikToks about like farmers markets. She loves corn, making things like that. And she did her very first, like, what I eat in a day. And it was very, very, not enough food. Oh, there's people walking by. Let's see what my dog does. And it was like, I even had Eva watch it because I was like, am I just seeing things not clearly? And so it was very fascinating. But because this woman was older, she was very much older than me. Hey, Belle Bells, come here, baby. Because she was very much older, the comments, and she has like 800 something thousand followers. The comments were very much like, oh, you're healthy. Oh, it's nice to see someone healthy. Oh, you're eating so nice. And it was very interesting because, for example, the first thing that she showed that she ate was 2 cashews and a little sliver of mango. dried mango, which was like, you know, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, triggering what I eat in a day. I didn't expect that from this creator. It was the first time that she ever posted a like full day of what she ate. And she's just kind of a kooky elderly woman. So it was very fascinating. And the comments, all but one, were just super positive and super uplifting. And I found it very fascinating because had someone younger in their 20s posted this exact same what I eat in a day, they would be railed on for the lack of substance, the lack of food, the low calories, and the very triggering type items that they were eating. So I just found it very, like, I don't know, what would that be? Ageist? I don't know. It's very interesting. Sometimes I go down the weirdest TikTok holes, honestly. Sometimes I want just a pack of cookies, so much more biscuits, like a bowl of cereal, lots of chocolate. Honey, that is so normal to want and to eat that much food. I could eat an entire box of cereal, and I can remember looking in a box of cereal and thinking how small it looked. And a candy bar, it was minuscule. It might as well have been a fun size, even though it was a king size. Everything just looked small because I knew it wasn't going to dent my hunger. I knew it wasn't going to put a dent to this hunger and mental hunger that I was feeling. So it is normal to want that much food. Know that it's normal to want that much food, okay? And it's actually necessary. Your brain is wanting that much food to make up for the deficit and to see if it can trust you to feed it when it asks. How long did it take you to fully recover? Like 3 years. It took me 3 years to fully recover. I didn't think I had an eating disorder till I was like 45 or so. I was like 40, I don't know, 45 and a half or something, maybe almost 46 when I decided to recover. And then I was solidly moving forward in recovery, very slowly, definitely not all in, for like 3 years. Yeah, long time. Took me a long time to fully recover. Maybe 2.5 years, 2.5, 3 years. You should write a book. We don't do that shit anymore. I should write a book. I also couldn't hear your answer when you said your tips about gassing. So could you maybe tell again? Oh, about, yes, I gas a lot. Yes, we all gas a lot. Our body is not used to processing food in the quantities, in the amounts, in the types of foods that we're eating. Simply not used to it. We haven't been feeding it regularly, and there's been a lot of foods that we have been restricting. So as our body gets used to eating that food, and in those quantities, we're going to bloat, we're going to gas, we're going to get cramps, it's going to hurt, okay? That's a normal part of recovery. If you're really concerned and having a lot of pain, you could always check in with a doctor. I can remember being in the fetal position so many times. I remember one time coming home from a restaurant in so much pain. It hurt so bad I wanted to go to the ER. And my husband was like, we should stop for ice cream. And I was just like dying in pain. And I just had to come home and lay in the fetal position. We are in pain. We are, and it's awful. My poor family, I was the gassiest creature on earth, you know, going through recovery. And it was stinky and it was awful. It was horrible. They hated it. But also, it's recovery. And at some point, you just have to laugh and move on. Laugh and move on. That's about all you can do. I'm scared my mom will put me on a PHP wait list. I'm weight restored, so I don't think it's necessary. So I'm wondering why your mom would think of doing that then. I'm guessing that your mom is maybe thinking of that option because she's seeing some things or some behaviors or some restrictions or some, you know, stagnating weight gain that's giving her pause and maybe thinking that you need some more support, right? If you were gaining weight and recovering and eating lots of foods, I'm guessing she would maybe back off a little bit. So I'm wondering if maybe she's seeing some things that you are not seeing. And remember, when you have an eating disorder, when you have anorexia, we have 3 hallmark things happen to us. We have this like fallen like hormones, right? We have this whole thing, cascade of hormones and neurotransmitters that happen, and it's an estrogen mediated thing that happens to us. When this happens, okay, 3 hallmark things happen. We become afraid of certain foods, right? We stop feeding. We don't want to feed. We're afraid of certain foods, afraid of weight loss. That's part of being afraid of food. Afraid of weight gain. We also start moving too much. We seek out movement, right? And all of these things are caused by things that happen in our brain, right? There's actual functional MRIs and stuff that we've had that we can now see this. Also, the other thing that happens to us is we hallucinate fat stores on our body. So I'm wondering that your mom and you are seeing a different body. You might be seeing a body through the lens of anorexia. You might be seeing a bigger body than you actually have. It might be time to trust someone else's eyes rather than your own, because your own eyes are looking through a lens of anorexia. And anorexia's lens tend to hallucinate fat stores on our bodies. And that was important back then. That's how we survived a famine, right? We would have to hallucinate fat stores to be able to trek a long time to find a new food source, right? But right now you're in a self-imposed famine. You kind of did it to yourself, right? And so you are hallucinating fat stores on your body. Because of that, you do have to look at someone else's eyes. So ask your mom. Maybe your mom is not thinking you are weight restored. Maybe you are seeing a different body size than she is. And if that's the case, you have to trust her eyes, not your own, because your eyes are quite honestly hallucinating fat stores, okay? That's a very common thing that happens to us when we have anorexia. I've set food alarms just recently. It's actually working for me now. And they used to trigger me. Oh, yay. Isn't that fascinating? How sometimes something can work in recovery and then it doesn't, or it doesn't and then it does. I think that is so incredibly fascinating. I can remember when I started using Recovery Record. It was the most wonderful thing on earth. Recovery Record worked absolutely wonderful for me. And then I hit a point where Recovery Record was holding me back. It was awful. It wasn't working at all for me anymore. It was actually preventing me from eating things because I didn't want to record them. So I stopped using it, and that's when I really went crazy with extreme hunger. Anyway, all right, my friends, I should go. I have been sick. My voice is a total mess. And yeah, I've been sick. I should go rest it. My medicine ball is done. I actually totally want to go get another one. All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out with me. As usual, I will at some time in the next few weeks try to put this on YouTube. I always try to download these and put them on YouTube for people to watch again. This way, if I've answered a question for you and you kind of want to listen to a response again, you can. Or some people just don't like TikTok and they ask me to put it there. So I'll try to put it over on YouTube. Also, yeah, I have a link tree. It's over, I don't know, it's probably linked on my TikTok. I don't know where any of my links are anymore. So thanks for hanging out with me. And I think I'm gonna go, I don't know, take a shower and nap and then hang out and eat more chocolate. All right, bye everybody. Thanks for hanging out.